morning, and thank you very much, Krish, for having called me to be here to speak to an energetic crowd who have actually laid the blueprint for the Amrit Kal, and Honorable PM Shri Narendra Modi ji is never without an opportunity to refer to the revolution that India has seen in the name of fintech. So, first of all, let me thank you for calling me here. Thank you also for having this large gathering, which couldn't meet during the COVID and subsequent periods. Earlier, you had three editions of this Fintech Fest, which has actually become a very powerful network of experts, both financial and also technological. And as a result, you see that rapid developments are happening globally, and India is leading, if I may say so, leading from the front. So thank you for giving me, once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be in front of this large, energetic, lively, if I can say, the future of financial ecosystem. You've asked me to speak on global collaboration for responsible financial ecosystem, that which will be inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. Well, there couldn't have been a more relevant topic to talk about. Not just to talk about, but you are the people who are going to make all the catalytic change which is so required in this area. Very, very catchy words, but very demanding catalytic work, which is expected from you. And if India has got to lead this, certainly those of you who are sitting in the audience, who are going to be the stakeholders in this area, have lots of ideas to contribute, and that's what you probably will be doing in the next 2 days. First, let me start by saying, today, when you speak of global collaboration, not just for the financial ecosystem, but also in general, global collaboration, like always before, but with more intensity, is the key word. We are living in a very multipolar, very dynamic and robust world, which is facing a lot of challenges, and in that, the absolute necessity is to have global collaboration, whether on strategic issues, whether on economy, or any other, and here, therefore, the most important aspect of the discussion today, the financial ecosystem. So it's an absolute necessity. The topic also says global collaboration to start with. So in that, technology, I see, is the common tool available for all countries. Some may use it much more effectively, others may use it strategically, some selectively, and some others probably yet to have that milestone reached to make a reckoning difference in using technology to influence the financial ecosystem. So in this process, when technology itself is rapidly evolving, with different countries possessing different capabilities in dealing with technology and using technology, what is the biggest challenge and what is more relevant is to build a responsible financial ecosystem. Responsibility is not something which can throw at everybody equally, but never mind, one laggard somewhere can cause the biggest disruption, especially when we say technology is the tool through which we are going to bring in a lot of changes. And it is the global challenge, therefore, to see how differentiated uses and differentiated user countries, all prevailing at the same time in creating an ecosystem which is going to make a difference for growth itself, will be using this technology, and global collaboration, therefore, depends on several variables. Although technology, I repeat, is a powerful tool through which we can do this. So when we are talking about financial ecosystem, let's understand the context in which we are talking about the financial ecosystem. The world is going through a question on the globalization itself. There are calls for deglobalization. There are some who say not deglobalization, let it be reglobalization. Whatever be it, globalization is being questioned, and it is most of us who will speak up first, who would say globalization also has helped in removal of poverty, differently in different countries, because capitalism spreads wealth, and wealth according to entrepreneurial skills, and therefore globalization debate gets in several other factors which are important. So we are talking about responsible financial ecosystem, when equally the debate globally is about globalization. So responsible globalization, shall we say, is the issue on which we'll also have to contribute. The other issue, I think, is the huge disparities which are prevailing all over the world. And that when we talk of disparity, the temptation or the way in which our minds are cultured over the last 70 years, 100 years after the First World War, is to think of only wealth as a disparity. Access disparities also cause a lot of difficulties. So disparities also prevail in well-being. Disparity in demography. Some countries are very old, with their population almost now reaching the highest level, and productive age people numbers are dwindling. Even that's a disparity. So demography itself brings in that better endowed countries versus not so well endowed countries. Disparity prevails when we're talking of technology. Digital literacy is a huge big indicator where some countries are better off and some others are not so well off. So when you're looking at disparities globally, disparities in well-being, disparities in digital literacy, disparities in access to resources, disparities because of demography, all this prevails. We're talking about responsible financial ecosystem, global challenges. We need to understand those challenges which are before us. Also, we equally should talk about the threats to a responsible financial global ecosystem. And the global challenges, therefore, build a responsible financial ecosystem. But what are the threats? We should be well seized of them. Physical border threats, which are conventional warfare and other things. Cyber threats, you're very adept at understanding it, but the intensity, the unpredictability, and also the depth and access which cyber threats have today. As much as you build firewalls, there are more and more newer ways in which access is being made and threats are being, or attacks are being made. So cyber threats, crypto threat, as well as an opportunity. But crypto is also an example that I use later to say how, unless global cooperation works out well, you're not going to be able to have a responsible financial ecosystem which can regulate it as well. Drug and drug worlds, drug mafias, are also a big threat again to the financial ecosystem. Tax havens and round-tripping of resources, tax evasion. All these are also the threats that we need to work. Keeping in our mind, we need to work with these threats before us so that we can address them. So, building a responsible financial ecosystem is important. It has to be, therefore, going back to the title, It has to be, therefore, inclusive, it has to be resilient, and it has to be sustainable. The challenges are we are aware of the challenges, they are before us. We know the various kinds of threats which are active even as we talk. And therefore, how are we going to be able to build it? I did begin by saying, unless we use technology, and unless we use technology as a tool to make sure that each one of these areas are addressed, ensuring financial ecosystem which is going to be, like we have tried in India, financially inclusive citizens cannot be brought about. So to make an inclusive, resilient and sustainable financial ecosystem, I see technology as a very powerful tool. But for the tool to be effective, the key to the world and for a responsible financial ecosystem, global cooperation is absolutely critical. And therefore today, having a gathering from over 100 countries actually, in a way, immediately addresses that need of global cooperation. When we have the stakeholders from so many of these countries being here, we are certainly already making the first step towards global cooperation. In this context, I just want to place before you India's achievement, briefly that is, in making sure financial ecosystem in India is inclusive. In a span of about 4 years, the number of demat accounts has increased by 2.5 times, from 4.1 crore in 2019-20 to 10 crores in 22-23. A record number of mutual funds, SIPs, are being registered, which again helps in generating long-term wealth, and with a monthly flow in the mutual fund industry through the route, reaching all-time high of 15,245 crores in July 2023. Assets under management of the Indian mutual fund industry has increased tremendously in the last decade. It grew more than fourfold, from 10 lakh crores in May 2014 to a significant 46.37 lakh crores in July 2023. Now, we tend to think that when we talk of financial inclusion, it's easy and therefore that will be the only answer. It is easy to reach the metropolitan towns or tier 1 towns. No, but in India, this revolution has reached even what you may otherwise call backwater towns. Top 30 cities of India are usually expected to be ahead in formal savings. However, in the last 4 years, the share of cities beyond top 30 cities in the total mutual fund assets has grown from 15% to 26%. So beyond 30 cities are contributing to India's financial ecosystem. Instruments like SIPs are only democratizing the wealth creation opportunity. So in this context, therefore, I'd like to say the efforts of the government with public money in creating UPI or UPI democratized payments through having even private players on board, and now open national network for digital commerce, or the ONDC, is poised to do that very much for e-commerce as well. So interestingly, fintechs are driving more inclusion and creating their niche. So when we are talking about financial ecosystem, there was a time when the conventional financial activities were the ones which were the backbone. But today, even as I address you, fintech has become a more robust and dynamic financial inclusion tool. I'll just give you a few examples to highlight where I'm coming from. This is sourced from a Matrix BCG report which came out in 2022. I'm sure the data can be far more updated now. In lending, which is one of the core business of the banks, fintechs have 36% share of new to credit customers versus 22% share in brick and mortar banks. You can just see the difference between conventional banking and fintech-driven banking, or fintechs themselves reaching out far more even in lending, an area which is a very conventional, regular brick and mortar bank function. In payments, fintechs have 93% share of UPI transaction value, whereas as opposed to 7% share in banks. That's the kind of difference I'm highlighting. In wealth techs, fintech broking have 80% share of active broking clients versus 20% active in traditional broking. The speed with which fintech has entered into the financial ecosystem has got to be kept upfront there for all of us, who will then have to have solutions to further the inclusion, to further the sustainability, and to further the resilience aspects of financial ecosystem. And if this goes robust, and if this goes even more dynamic, then comes the question of how we make it a lot more responsible. I'm not sequencing them, but even as this develops, the responsible regulation and also global cooperation both acquire a very big significance. A few more data points. The ITR data released in August signals that the formalization of Indian economy is now really wide, and it is accessing so many different areas. Credit facilities, security, social security, so pension, insurance, all of them are getting covered. Each tax bracket, the tax slabs I mean, has seen a minimum threefold increase in tax filing, some even achieving a nearly fourfold surge. We are in Mumbai, so contextually, I'd like to highlight that Maharashtra continues to be the leader. Other states are moving up with respect to ITR filings. In places like Northeast, Chhattisgarh, Jammu and Kashmir, the new ITR filings have gone up by up to 2 digits, grown by double-digit growth. This augurs, of course, very well for the financial ecosystem. And as per SBI research, this is very useful to see where we are going towards. As per an SBI research, per capita income is expected to increase by 7.5 times from 2 lakh rupees, which is what it is in this year, financial year just concluded, financial year 2023, to 14.9 lakh crores by 2047. So our workforce equally is expected to increase by 19.5 crores to 72.5 crores in the financial year 2047. It is only 53 crores in 22-23. So if workforce share of population, workforce share in population will increase also from 37.9 in 2023 to 45% in 2047. So looking at that, the taxable workforce calculations is also being calculated. Taxable workforce eligible to pay taxes will also rise to 85.3% from the current 22.4%. There would be approximately 48.2 crore IT filers in 2047 as opposed to 7 crore only in 22-23. So there's more work to do for all of us. I just want to highlight that these are the space before us when we're talking about work for inclusivity. So unless this dimension is kept before us, thinking of inclusivity, which will be the feature of the global financial ecosystem, will be lost on us. Resilience and sustainable financial ecosystem. Just a few thoughts. Innovation, which is what is the backbone of this fintech sector. Innovation should be at the forefront as it is now, but even much more for the future. Sustainability should be integral to that. Green fintech solutions can contribute to environmentally responsible finance, aligning with the ESG principles. This would mean promoting investments in sustainable projects, reducing carbon footprints, and actively supporting eco-friendly initiatives. We should strive to bring in sustainability from a concept to actual action, from ideation to actually execution. Even today, when we sit around in very many bilateral conferences, I find a lot of ideas being thrown around about sustainability, very workable ideas. But workable ideas should get to work. So that is why I'm saying from concept we should move to action. From ideation, it is time to execute. Indian startups have the ability to drive this real innovation and sustainability and ensure that it does not remain just a buzzword. Demonstrating resilience is also one of the very important things. Macroeconomic uncertainties will make us push towards adaptive technologies which we need, and also strive to cultivate those innovative solutions that cater to the evolving demands. So the aim should be establish a financial system that can withstand future uncertainties, be it pandemic, God forbid, or be it natural, or be it anything else. So we should build financial system that can withstand future uncertainties and, more importantly, swiftly rebound by transforming challenges into opportunities. Security, of course, remains a very big concern. We need to have greater digitization, there's no doubt about it. But naturally, that comes along with cybersecurity threats. So we need to have fintech companies invest heavily in robust security measures, utilizing advanced encryption and other measures to protect user data and financial transactions. A secured system is what will build trust. And therefore, that's a must for financial ecosystem to truly flourish. India can lead in making financial ecosystem inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. I've just given you a few examples just a few minutes ago. We have the tool, but we have to make it responsible. There is only one key, as I said, global cooperation. And for that, talking about global cooperation, I would think in an interconnected world, financial technology transcends borders, therefore, making cross-border partnerships absolutely crucial. Moreover, collaborative venture open up access to vast and diverse customer base and accelerating market participation and penetration. Just a few data which can help us to understand again the expanse of that world. $20 trillion is estimated to be our annual cross-border payments globally. incurring $120 billion in transaction cost, both in US dollars, that is. India is the largest remittance receiver with around $100 billion worth of remittances, taking 2022 as our base. The high remittances have been a motivating factor in our pursuit of enhancing cross-border payment arrangements. Enhancing cross-border payments has been India's priority. Also in the G20, we are talking about it. One of the priority areas for the G20 is information sharing on national experiences and international initiatives on interoperability of national fast payment systems for seamless flow of funds. Active discussions have happened. The summit is going to happen in a day or two. This is expected to enhance cross-border payments. Also, the Payment Vision 2025 of the RBI envisages active support for the global outreach initiatives to expand the footprint of domestic payment systems by collaborating with relevant stakeholders. So you know of the recent developments, interlinkage between India's UPI and Singapore's Pay Now was operationalized by Honorable Prime Minister of both the countries in February 2023. UPI and RuPay cards acceptance at selected merchant locations are also live in UAE, Nepal, and in Bhutan. Similar arrangements are also being worked out with other countries. Given the size of India's market, the Indian fintech industry should take a strong lead in the cross-border payment system, given our rich and successful experience in the digital payments. But because we are talking of global collaboration, I'd like to take you back to the G20 presidency, the Indian presidency, where we have sought for global cooperation. Unless there is global collaboration, the areas that I'm going to talk about will have continuing challenges. So India's presidency has put on table in the G20 issues related to regulating or understanding that there should be a framework for handling issues related to crypto assets. Active discussions are happening. Content-rich papers from institutions like IMF, FSB, OECD are all being discussed on various issues, and on crypto, IMF and FSB have also given their synthesis paper. Similarly, global financial ecosystem and responsible financial ecosystem cannot happen, again, without global collaboration. Multilateral development banks and their reforms are also being discussed, and an high-level expert group's recommendations are being discussed in the G20 under India's presidency. Similarly, global debt distress. Countries are in deep distress, not just less developed countries, but middle-income countries as well. That affects the global financial architecture as well. Even discussions on debt distress under Indian presidency are happening in the G20, seeking global collaboration. And finally, on tax evasion and tax-related matters, particularly when technology-driven companies are not brooking any physical borders, profits are being made, money is being made from one territory, but they are registered elsewhere. So how does taxation work? Does the country from where the revenues are generated benefit from it? Even on that, G20 is, under Indian presidency, discussing the two-pillar tax solutions. So there are quite a lot of activity which Government of India, using this opportunity of India's presidency of the G20, is talking about global cooperation and global collaboration for having a responsible financial ecosystem which will be doing justice for inclusion and for resilience and sustainability. So global collaboration is indispensable. So India is making efforts which I've already given you a sample of. In conclusion, therefore, I'd like to say bright minds from around the world are here. You have to innovate together, collaborate, and drive the future of financial technology. With GFF, the aim to provide a single and singular platform for fintech leaders to foster collaboration and to develop a blueprint for the future of industry is a major step, and I recognize it. We are also happy to note that the previous edition of the GFF was successful in creating stimulus environment for collaboration at global tech for the fintech industry. Hope the participants today take this opportunity to connect with a diverse array of exhibitors, established fintech firms, startups, venture capital entities, financial institutions, regulators, and technology providers to find future solutions and opportunities. Furthermore, topical sessions from distinguished delegates from around the world will actually create valuable opportunities for information exchange. So finally, I would like to urge the global investors and innovators to embrace India's resilient economy and its thriving fintech ecosystem. Thank you very much.